Hello, my name is John Steele, and this is my individual negotiation project for replacing the refractory and brick on our lime kiln. So the parties are myself and Blake Killican with Rimcore. Blake is basically in charge of Rimcore, so he has a lot of positional power as well as resource power in the effect that he controls all the labor, equipment, and services that I need in order to meet my goal of having operational equipment reliability. I've used referent power and goal interdependence with him. Referent power in the capacity that I've always tried to maintain a high level of integrity. And then I also stress the fact that in order to satisfy my goal, I really need his support in the execution of the work that we've identified. As far as negotiation process, really from the preparation all the way through the information using, is really using the previous inspection reports, defining what I wanted to do, the costs associated, at least in my mind, using the previous reports as reference, and then between bidding, closing, and implementing, really using that previous inspections and my position with that data in mind to kind of support my position. And we were able to meet a verbal agreement in the first meeting, and then also in the second meeting, we were able to sign a document for our March 2026 annual outage where this work would occur. The tactics that I used, the main one primarily that supported my position was precedent, was the fact that I had previous inspections, the work that was done associated with it, and then the associated costs. And I was able to use that information with what we forecasted doing to kind of set a bar that allowed me to kind of execute against my goals as far as that's concerned. So definitely having previous data and having that prepared and ready to go definitely helped in this situation. As far as central route of influence, the main thing was making the offer attractive. I made sure to put myself in Blake's shoes to think about what his priorities were, what things that I could do to make sure that this work was done very seamlessly without any issues, and did everything that I could to make sure that that was emphasized throughout the discussion. The other item was active participation. Made sure that in the conversations that we were having, that it was not one-sided, that he had the opportunity to provide his thoughts and his insights, and it really made sure that the conversation progressed very well. As far as the peripheral side, main thing was reputation for trustworthiness and integrity. I've known Blake for probably 6, 7 years now. I've always made sure that whenever he asks something of me, I follow through on it, so he knows that he can count on me, he knows that he can trust me, and that definitely helped the conversation go very well throughout. We didn't really have any hiccups just because he and I know each other and we're familiar with each other. The substantive frames, main one, was making sure that we did the work at or below budget and making sure that we had a timeline as this work defines the maintenance window in one of our areas. So making sure that we had that as well as a budgetary cost number that met or was below our needed levels was very key components of the discussion that we had. Procedural frames, made sure to have an agenda prior to this meeting, made sure to document any follow-ups, making sure that we had something that was specifically laid out that kind of detailed what we were going to talk about and having times associated with it, and then having a follow-up list with readily identified owners and due dates of those action items, made sure that we were able to progress throughout the meeting and didn't necessarily get held up at any point. As far as the field analysis, the main actors were myself and Blake. We had some indirect actors who would be affected by the outcome of the negotiations. That's the people who can approve things on my end, as well as provide some insight and direction on work that does take place, as well as the folks that Blake is responsible to. The interested observers, we had a lot of people that could be indirectly influenced by this, but they didn't necessarily have direct influence on the execution of the negotiation. And then we had a few environmental factors, primarily the wanting to maintain the relationship that we've had between International Paper and Rimcore and making sure that that preferred future relationship is at the forefront. But because of the amount of individuals involved, I thought it made sense for Blake and myself to move into an isolated dyad environment, able to work together, and it all went very well, just him and I working together as far as that's concerned. So as far as the outcome's concerned, we were able to sign an agreement that met my needs and his needs in planning to do this work in March of next year. A lot of the lessons learned that I had was very good, thorough preparation that's laid out, that's formalized, really supports your position and execution of these negotiations, and then also maintaining a positive relationship throughout the conversation, but then also maintaining that relationship throughout the year. That was very key to making sure that this negotiation went very well, was making sure that he and I were on the same page and he and I could count on one another. But that concludes my presentation on my individual negotiation. Thank you.